Once upon a time, I was a die-hard Google user. My entire digital life, photos, documents, and emails lived on their servers. It was convenient and most of it completely free. But since I had switched to Linux years ago, I had this slow realization that made me start questioning not only my operating system choices, but also where my data lived. It was just that creepy feeling that my data wasn't just being stored, it was being scanned, sorted, and used to sell me stuff. I wasn't the customer anymore, I was the product. So I decided to get rid of Google entirely, like installing Graphene OS on my phone, but on today's subject topic, getting away from the Google ecosystem of services. But you can't just walk away from Google. You need somewhere else to go. So I eventually went down the self-hosting rabbit hole with a Synology NAS, and I'm deep in it. And I'm happy. I'll probably cover self-hosting in another video at some point. But Synology devices do provide their own ecosystem of apps, so I'm fine there. But I always had this itch to try and host my data on the open source alternative to Google, Nextcloud. What's Nextcloud? So I've always had my eye on Nextcloud, which is an open source software. Now Nextcloud isn't just a Google Drive replacement, it's a full-on alternative to the entire Google ecosystem. It started out for syncing and sharing files, kind of like Dropbox, but it's evolved into something so much bigger. It's a complete open source platform that gives you file hosting, a calendar, a contact manager, a mail client, and even an office suite. And because it's open source, its code is completely transparent. Now the philosophy behind it is what makes it so alluring. There is no vendor lock-in, no data mining, and it's just your data on your server under your control. Now the question was, could a regular person actually pull it off? I was about to find out because this has been my first contact with Nextcloud. Setting up. Alright. The first decision one must take is to either self-host this locally or use an online server. As mentioned before, I already have a NAS for all my self-hosting needs, but I didn't want to experiment with something so large as Nextcloud on my production system. So a cheap solution to test the waters was to start with a virtual private server or a VPS. Think of a VPS like renting a small private apartment on the internet. It's a virtual machine in a data center, but you can get your own dedicated resources, the apartment itself, and you have complete control over it. It's the perfect middle ground. You get the power of your own server without having to buy and maintain the physical hardware. So for these kinds of projects, I really like Hostinger because they make it so easy to set up. They're known for having some of the cheapest, most beginner-friendly VPS plans out there. I picked their KVM2 plan, which came with 2 virtual CPU cores, 8 gigs of RAM, and 100 gigs of super fast NVMe storage. For a personal Nextcloud server, especially for just trying it out, this was more than enough. But here's the magic though. Instead of setting up an Ubuntu server by yourself and then installing Nextcloud on top of it, you can actually tell Hostinger to set up your final product. You can choose among this long list of applications and, well, you know, they have Nextcloud. Since Hostinger has been kind enough to sponsor this video, they have given me an offer for SuperUser viewers. Input coupon code SUPERUSER at checkout for any VPS annual plan or higher to get a 10% discount. It's a steal. So from the Hostinger panel, we can see our VPS has been set up automatically with Nextcloud, and we are given a public link to access our service. Now, please remember that your Nextcloud instance right now is online and anybody with the link can access. That is why we have Nextcloud accounts. You start with an admin account with username admin, and the password is the one you established in the Hostinger panel. Exploring the interface. Logging into my private cloud for the first time was a genuinely empowering moment. Like, I already own my own self-hosted infrastructure, so the feeling isn't new to me, but I just feel so excited every time I set up something like this because it's just so cool that this isn't Google. This space was mine. Mi casa. The default dashboard was clean and surprisingly modern, and minimalistic to begin with. The overview is customizable with a widget for recent files and a top bar with applications and settings. So again, empowering, but it also meant that I need to build this thing from the ground up because it's quite empty right now. Switching between your apps is instant, like really fast and snappy. This obviously depends on the hardware you're using, but goes to show how the Hostinger KVM2 plan can handle something like this. Naturally, I started with the Files app. This is the heart of Nextcloud, it's where it began, basically. It is the direct replacement for Google Drive. The interface feels familiar, which is a good thing. You have your folders, a big New button, and you can upload files from here. But then you see the little details, because there are built-in filters to see files shared with you, or files you've shared. The navigation at the top makes it impossible to get lost, and the universal search doesn't just search for file names, it can be configured to search inside your documents, calendar events, and more. So one of the first things I did was test out user management because it's always a good practice to not operate with an admin account for everything. So I wanted to make my own personal account. From the admin panel, I created an account for myself, I set a storage quota, and finished the logging. And just like that, we had 2 users with a shared private space for our family's documents, completely separate from any big tech company. Then I clicked over to the Photos app. It automatically comes with default photos so you can see how it looks, and it generated this beautiful organized gallery. You have album support and even can do some basic photo editing. Back at the dashboard, I decided to add some more widgets such as the weather. You can set your location and now you get a brief weather report from the home screen. So I realized that if I added more apps with dashboard widgets, you could very well have a main life dashboard for everything. But we do need more apps, so let's go to the App Store, and it is chock full of different applications you can add to your Nextcloud. The app ecosystem. The core apps are the foundation, the minimum you need for files and pictures, but the App Store is where it gets very interesting. This is where Nextcloud goes from a Google Drive replacement to a whole internet replacement. You can access an ecosystem of over 200 apps that extend your cloud's capabilities in almost any direction you can imagine. So I installed some apps that caught my eye, such as Contacts, Calendar, Notes, Kanban Deck, Cookbook for recipes, CoSpend for finances, and Doom. Yes, Doom. You can run Doom on your Nextcloud. More on that in a few minutes. Apps get added to the top left bar of your dashboard, next to the core ones. I tried out Contacts, which is nice. You can add photos, birthdays, and all the extra bits of information you'd want. Calendar works in a similar way. You can create new calendars, sync with a public calendar, and even add your country's holidays. The cool thing is that both Contacts and Calendar are compatible with CalDAV, an open internet standard for calendars and contacts. That means you can add a CalDAV account to any device that supports it, like your smartphone or computer, and you can sync your calendar and contacts like that. No Google Calendar or Google Contacts needed. I also tried CoSpend, an application to manage and view household expenses. You can add other user accounts to see a project and assign who paid for what. It's quite a basic budgeting app, but cool to see. We also have Kanban boards for organizing projects and a notes application to take notes. Also quite basic, but gets the job done. An app that surprised me has been Cookbook. It's a cooking recipe database where you have the perfect layout to add all your recipes. But the coolest feature is being able to add web links to recipes, and Nextcloud automatically extracts the data to create the recipe for you, so you hardly have to type anything if you find a recipe that you like. You can even adjust the serving size and the ingredients update in real time. So when it comes to these core features, you can use the Nextcloud smartphone app to connect to an instance and view all this data. Yes, even the Cookbook app, so you can just whip out your phone and check the recipes you saved there. Of course, you can check your files and photos, notes and Kanban, so it is very portable. And then, just for the fun of it, I found a community app that lets you run the classic 1993 game Doom inside the Nextcloud interface. Why? Because you can. It's a perfect, nerdy testament to the flexibility and spirit of the open source community, and another episode of the long-running joke that you can run Doom anywhere. Each app I installed felt like unlocking a new superpower for my server, the ability to build my own integrated workspace tailored to my exact needs. It was the complete opposite of Google's one-size-fits-all approach. This was my cloud with my rules and my apps. And Doom, back to reality. Now, it would be a bit dishonest to paint this as pure, perfected bliss. The journey and the experience was awesome, but it wasn't without its challenges. The freedom of self-hosting comes with a very real responsibility. You are the IT department. I came about 2 roadblocks. The Office apps and the Mail app wouldn't work without extra fidgeting. So in theory, you do have an online office space where you can create written documents, spreadsheets, and so on using the Collabora Office backend. The problem is that you need a separate Collabora service running in the background, which is completely aside from Nextcloud. So you have to dig deeper into the rabbit hole to now set up a Collabora server and point your Nextcloud to it. I'm sure that it isn't that complicated, but it does mean it isn't as plug and play as I hoped. The same with email. It accepts IMAP and SMTP connections, but for some reason I couldn't configure it to see a Fastmail email address which is super IMAP friendly. I even tried with a Gmail address and it expects to have an application token, which I guess can be created in your Google account, but it already meant lots of extra steps. So the first reality check is the backend maintenance. With Google, updates just happen. With Nextcloud, you're responsible for applying them. You're responsible for the security of your server and fixing an update that could break something. And of course, if we are talking about your personal files, the ones you don't want to lose like ever, you are taking a risk by experimenting and not knowing what you're doing. So that means you do need to draft a careful migration plan and learn along the way with disposable data. I believe these are not optional steps, they are essential, and backups are critical as well. What if the server fails? Luckily, Hostinger, where I have it hosted right now, can do this automatically, but you need to be conscious about it if you are self-hosting at home. And finally, there's the polish. Now, Nextcloud is beautiful, but some of the community apps, while brilliant, can still feel like beta projects. They're functional, but might lack the polish of their corporate-backed counterparts and might not have the advanced features you might expect. So, after all the setup, the amazing first impression moments, and the reality checks, we get to the big question. Was it worth it? Now, for me personally, the answer is kind of. But if you are new to taking control of your data, it could be a worthwhile investment. The feeling of complete ownership over my digital life is something I can't put a price on. Knowing my private documents and family photos are on a server that I control is incredibly liberating. That itself is worthwhile. But I personally invested into an easy and ready-made self-hosting ecosystem in Synology. If I had a generic NAS where I installed TrueNAS or Proxmox, or just had a spare laptop somewhere to act as a server, then I would put the time and energy into making Nextcloud my all-in-one solution. I would highly recommend this to any tech enthusiast, privacy-conscious person, or someone with a lot of time to tinker. If you're okay with a little fidgeting and you value owning your data, Nextcloud gives you a fantastic platform to begin with. The learning curve is there though. However, who is this not for? If you run a business that relies on mission-critical collaboration and you have no IT staff, then be cautious. That is a serious consideration. I would only recommend this to businesses with a strong and reliable IT team behind it. And if you just want simple file syncing without the extras, a simpler alternative like SyncThing might be a better fit. In the end, I have to admit that Nextcloud continues to fascinate me, and I might even replace my Synology setup with it someday, in the future. Mainly because they keep improving the software year after year, and they are a team that I admire overall. Will you be going down this additional rabbit hole, or are you an active Nextcloud user? I'd love to hear your experiences in the comments. Just remember that owning your data gives you full control, and with that power comes great responsibility.